Hey guys, and welcome to my January and February wrap up. So, in the past 2 months, I've only read about 6 books, so I decided just to combine the two because it'd be boring if I just showed you guys 2 books that I read in January. You know, that would be the quickest video ever. So, I decided to do this. So, let's go ahead and get into it. So I only ended up reading 2 books in January, which, as you guys know, I was really on a kick of reading a lot in the summertime, and then I kind of got into a very deep reading slump, which was horrible. So I'm trying to get back into it, and I saw this TikTok, and it was about If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan, and I read this book, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. So this is basically about Autumn and Finn and their love story. It says, if he had been with me, everything would have been different. Autumn and Finn used to be inseparable, but then something changed, or they changed. Now they do their best to ignore each other. Autumn has her boyfriend Jamie and her close-knit group of friends. Finn has become that boy at school, the one everyone wants to be around. That still doesn't stop the way Autumn feels every time she and Finn cross paths, and the growing nagging thought that maybe things could have been different. Maybe they should be together. And as time passes, Autumn realized she might not get another chance to make things right before it's too late. So, I highly recommend this book. It's a very sad book, I will say that. The ending just took my heart and stomped it on the floor. It shattered everywhere. I'm surprised I didn't cry during this book. But I really enjoyed reading about Finn and Autumn's story and how they tried to move on from each other, and they never really told each other how they felt about each other. But as time went on, they realized how they felt and just how the universe kept bringing them back together in certain situations, and how they tried to fight the feelings so bad, but it just didn't work out. I love reading books like that. I think it's so adorable. And yeah, it was just a really, really unique and interesting story, and I highly recommend it. It's definitely one that I'm going to be rereading pretty soon. Not pretty soon, but in like a year or so, if you know what I mean. Like, I just read it, I'm not going to read it again, but you know what I mean. Also, this cover, the like hearts, and oh my gosh, the feeling of this book is so soft. It has like that soft cover. Oh, I love it. When I got this in the mail, I just got so excited to read it because of the cover and the colors, and I don't know, book covers just get me. The next book I ended up reading, I actually do not have anymore. I ended up giving it away because I did not like this book. I ended up giving it a 3 stars, and that is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I ended up reading this book because it had been on my TBR for a very, very long time, and I just wanted to get it over with and read it. Guys, I read this literally in January, last month. Do not remember one thing about it. It's basically about this academy, and the owner of the academy, his wife and daughter went missing, and a couple years later, Stevie ends up going to this school, and she wants to find out why all these people are missing. And it's basically like a mystery fantasy type thing. I can't tell you one thing about this book because I do not remember one thing. I literally blanked throughout the whole book, and that's how I know that I was not interested in it. If you have to force yourself to get focused into a book and it doesn't just suck you in, that's not the book for me. But I would suggest it for somebody who is into fantasy. I'm just not really. Like, I would only be into fantasy if there's like at least a little bit of romance. Like Shatter Me, I want to read that series because I know for sure there's a romance in it, and I think I would really like it. But yeah, that's basically why I got rid of this. I ended up selling it to my mom. So that is it for that. But it's not a terrible book. I just do not remember anything about it. And that is all I ended up reading for January. So let's go ahead and get into February. So I started off February. So if you guys have seen the new movie Elvis, that is like one of my favorite movies now. And ever since then, I've been going in through this like dark tunnel of Elvis facts, and I just want to learn everything about him. And then I realized that there was a book called Elvis and Me by Priscilla Presley, and it is her autobiography. I can never say that word. I ended up giving this a 5 stars. I don't really like to I don't know, I don't feel right about like rating her life story, you know what I mean? But I just enjoyed it so much. I had to give it 5 stars. It's basically a book that tells the story of her and Elvis and her perspective and what she's seen while they were in a relationship. And it is a lot of detail. I highly recommend it if you want to learn more about Elvis. That's why I started reading it, and I definitely do not regret reading it. Just the way she spoke about him, you can tell how in love she was with him and how in love they were with each other, which obviously they both made mistakes throughout their relationship. And I just learned a lot from this book, so I highly recommend you pick it up if you want to learn more about him or more about the relationship, or even Priscilla. She talks a little bit about Lisa Marie, which sadly she did just pass away, not even, I think it was like 2 months ago, which is very, very sad. So if you'd like to learn anything about that, I highly suggest picking this book up. The next book I ended up reading was Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So I ended up reading this book because me and Chase were scrolling through Netflix, and Chase told me, he was like, I started to watch this movie and I want to watch it with you because I think you would really like it. Well, it ended up being Where the Crawdads Sing, and I don't think he knew that I had the book to it because he doesn't really pay attention to that. So I did end up watching the movie with him, which I hate doing because every time I watch a movie before the book, I just don't give the book as good of a chance as if I would if I was hearing the story through the pages instead of like a movie. You see what I mean? You pick up what I'm throwing down. But this is about Kaya, and it says, for years, rumors of the Marsh Girl has haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Girl, but Kaya is not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. When the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved, when 2 young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. So this is basically about Kaya and her learning how to love somebody throughout Bo, which is like her childhood friend. So it's like a childhood friends to lovers thing. And there was also Chase, which is this very popular guy in town that takes an interest in her, and she's very surprised by that because usually people don't notice her at all. And you learn how she deals with being called the Marsh Girl, and nobody really gives her the time of day. But this was a very sad story. She goes through a lot in this book, and it's very sad. There's also like a crime in this book, and she learns how to go through that. Chase basically gets killed and everybody suspects it's her. So you see her realizing how in the snap of a finger this whole town goes against her. And it's a very, very good book. It shows you, like, I don't know, this movie was just so good, and I did end up giving this book only a 3 stars just because a lot of the detail that was in this book I just felt wasn't necessary. Like, she'd go on for 3 paragraphs about the marsh, and like, I don't know, I just I just wasn't as interested in this book as I was the movie. I highly suggest the movie. Also, if you want to read this book, read the book before the movie because the movie is amazing. But it's just cool seeing her be so interested in nature, and she compares nature to her actual life a lot. And I think it's a really cool book, and you should really go read it. The next book I actually found it because I follow Dylan and Cole Sprouts, which is Zach and Cody, if you guys didn't know. I grew up with them on my TV, so I have to follow them on Instagram and stuff. And Dylan Sprouts, he posted a trailer of this movie called Beautiful Disaster, and it looked really good. And then at the end credits, it said based on a novel or based on books. So I looked up Beautiful Disaster, and this is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire. And this is actually a 3-book series, I want to say, 3 or 4. And it says soon to be major motion picture. This is coming out in theaters. I'm not sure when. It's not too far away from now that the movie comes in theaters. But when I pulled this out, I did not realize it was this chunky. But this is basically about Abby and Travis. It says the new Abby Abernathy is a good girl. She doesn't drink or swear, and she has the appropriate percentage of cardigans in her wardrobe. Abby believes she has enough distance between her and the darkness of her past, but when she arrives at college with her best friend, her path to a new beginning is quickly challenged by Eastern University walking one-night stand. Travis Maddox, lean cut and covered in tattoos, is exactly what Abby needs and wants to avoid. He spends his nights winning money in a floating fight ring and his days as the ultimate college campus charmer. Intrigued by Abby's resistance to his appeal, Travis tricks her into his daily life with a simple bet. If he loses, he must remain abstinent for a month, and if Abby loses, she must live in Travis's apartment for the same amount of time. Either way, Travis has no idea that he has met his match. So this book reminded me a lot of the After series, and oh my gosh, guys, I watched all of the After movies recently. Me and Chase did. The first two was kind of like but the last two, guys, I'm obsessed. But this book definitely reminded me of the After series, and I feel like this is gonna be the next After series because I'm pretty sure they're gonna be making movies with all of the books like After books did, which I just ordered the After books, so I'm gonna be reading all of those too, so stay tuned for that. But I really liked this book, their chemistry between each other. She just cannot stand how much of a player he is. And when they make this bet that if he loses, he can't have sex for a month, their chemistry is so funny and I love it. They just hate each other so much. Well, he flirts with her a lot and she just can't stand him. And I love that like good boy, bad or good girl, bad boy thing. That is, I don't know, it was so good. I gave it a 5 stars. Obviously, you can tell by my smile how good it was. So I highly recommend reading this book. You will not be disappointed. And the very last book I ended up reading in February was Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau, I want to say. And I ended up giving this a 3 stars. I literally finished this today and I sat this on my bed. Blue ends up laying next to it, and he usually doesn't touch my books or anything. I come back in the room, literally the corner of my book is destroyed. Like, he literally started eating it. Like, don't get a dog. I'm just kidding, I love dogs, but oh my god, I was so sad. Like, why? Anyway, this book is about Mary Jane. It says in 1970s Baltimore, 14-year-old Mary Jane loves cooking with her mother, singing in her church choir, and enjoying Broadway show tunes of the month albums. Quiet and compliant, she's glad when she lands a summer job as a nanny for the daughter of the local doctor. A respectable job, Mary Jane's mother says, in a respectable house. The house may look respectable on the outside, but inside it's a literal and figurative mess. Clutter on every surface, impeachment now more than ever, bumper stickers on the doors, takeout for dinner. Even more troublesome were Mary Jane's mother to find out. The doctor is a psychiatrist who has taken in a famous rock star and his movie star wife for the summer so that the rock star can get clean. Mary Jane introduces her new household to crisply ironed clothes, milk that hasn't spoiled, and a family dinner schedule. In return, she has a front row seat to a world of sex, drugs, rock music, and group therapy. Caught between the lifestyle she's always known and the future she's only just realized is possible, Mary Jane will arrive at September with a new idea about what she wants out of life and what kind of person she's going to be. So basically, this is about Mary Jane and her realizing which path she wants to go on in her life, and if she wants to be this clean cut, like perfect family, or if she wants to kind of walk on the wild side a little bit. And she thinks this family is completely crazy. I love this family. They are so funny. They remind me a lot of my family because my mom's side of the family is just very loud and inappropriate. And I really enjoyed this aspect of this book. The reason why I gave this 3 stars is because I expected this to be a lot more entertaining than it was. There was some points where, I don't know, I just thought it would have more detail or it would be more entertaining. It was still entertaining. It was still a really cute book. I loved the relationship between her and the little girl that she takes care of. And I love that you see her grow to be very comfortable with this family and tell them things that she could never tell her parents. And I do love the ending and how it ended. I ended up getting this from Sarah Caroli, so shout out to her because I do really like this book and I'm glad I read this book. That is going to be all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am going to start reading a little bit more, or at least try to. And if not, I'll just keep doing these combined like months. There's no shame in reading this many books in 2 months. This is a lot to some people. This isn't enough for some people. And I'm just happy I'm consuming some stories because I love to read. And when I get time to read, I love to pick up a book. I just don't want to force myself to read if I don't want to. You see what I mean? I still want reading to be enjoyable for me, and that's the whole goal of reading, is for it to be fun. So that is it for today. I will be making more videos, as I said. I will not be doing TBRs though. TBRs are just not for me. I am very much a mood reader, and it's setting that goal doesn't really help me because I never look towards that goal. So there's like no point for me. It is really good for other people. I just personally, it doesn't work for me. So that's gonna be it for right now. I hope to see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, loves.